Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Hello everyone, Crow here, on Vile Branch, only found on titansleague.org. And I'm here today to make a few announcements instead of doing a class overview as I normally would. The Warlock class is basically done though, so expect that overview to come out sometime soon, probably within the week. So a few things I want to get out is that I'm looking for developers right now to help with my project, and I'm reaching out to you guys on YouTube, but also through different emulation channels on Discord, to find people who align with my creative vision. And what that is something I'm going to outline in this video by talking about a little bit of the features that Vile Branch has to offer. So let's get into that. First off, I'm looking for people who have a creative mindset, who don't even need to know how to do any programming, but have a knowledge of the game and kind of what they want out of the MMO. I'm looking for people who are willing to write out and talk about mechanics that they like in PvP or PvE. Say you want to help me design Grim Battle. What kind of mobs do you want to see in Grim Battle? What kind of boss fights do you envision happening in there? And helping me design some of these things. But then, of course, I want people who know how to program as well. They're useful. Obviously, between me and another developer, we can program everything we need just fine by ourselves, but by getting more people on the team, it would speed up the progress of that. Next up is people who like story writing, specifically who want to work within the framework of the overarching story to create quest text and story beats about each zone. There's a main overarching theme throughout the world at large that's going on with the rise of this new Gurubashi Empire. And because of that, various factions have their own thing going on. For instance, Sourfang's Landing used to formerly be Raventusk Village. So, what happened with that? And how do the Raventusk feel about us occupying their territory? Then there's also the Airy Peak, what's going on with the Alliance, and the stories as you go through each zone with the cascading effects on that zone. For instance, Archmage Rugal has decided to open his doors for the first time in a long, long time and let in the Dalaran refugees that used to lurk over by the Amber Mill. Why? And that affects a lot of the dungeon encounters in that dungeon now. You're going to have various mages and sorcerers who are former refugees that you're going to wind up fighting against. Now, on to some of the features of the server. So besides being a story-driven quest line that will lead you zone to zone and reward you with experience, gold, and vanity shards for, various aesthetics. And also, as you level, you get paragon levels. I'll get more into that in another video. But you essentially get rewarded by going around the world and unlocking some stuff in each zone. On top of that, you have all the PvE features of dungeons and raids. And those will be tied to the greater story at large and offer you items that drop within them. And this is important because there are no items that drop off of overworld mobs that aren't vendor trash or material goods for professions. And the reason for this is that I want professions to be really important to the game. And so what I also did with professions is that I squashed a lot of the item levels of the items being created with each profession. Instead of having a crazy amount of vertical upgrades, 1 to 150, you're going to have a series of side grades. And as you level up your profession, you'll have more access to a wider, more diverse array of items you can create. That does not mean that there aren't items that are more powerful. That just means as you grind from level 1 to 150, the items that you craft will be usable or sellable to other players, and not just something that you wind up vendoring or disenchanting later. At 150, you can unlock various recipes that are sold from quartermasters for reputation. You can also find certain recipes in dungeons or in raids, and in very dangerous content such as the wilderness. This will play a part into the economy because in the wilderness, if you die, you drop items. However, the wilderness will be the only place that you can go and travel to in which very rare items to drop, various schematics that only drop there, and various profession materials that only drop there. And so you will be traversing there at some point if you plan on being able to create things to sell to other players, or to kill other players and take their possessions. On the outskirts of the wilderness, you will only drop profession materials that you have farmed yourself, but as you get closer to the center, you will lose more and more of your items until you get into the most dangerous part of the zone, in which you will lose everything except for your 3 highest item level items. Everything else will go into a box and can be looted by people who killed you. Also, every item in the game will no longer bind, with the exception of certain epics and maybe legendaries if I design some in the future. Make no mistake, on Vile Branch, each rarity of every item is very indicative of how you obtain it. Rare items will be hard to find, epic items will be impossible to find, and legendaries, well, you've only heard legends of them. You won't see heads or tails of any legendaries unless you partake in probably some kind of a quest that takes place over 30 days, maybe even 60 days, and will be so hard to obtain that only a couple players on the realm will even have them. So, most of the items in the game will wind up being non-binding, and then you can pick it up and sell it on the auction house. This means that there will be a lot more people buying and selling, and the economy will be a lot more active. This is also because if you die and you lose your items in the wilderness, you'll be very quick to wind up buying them back from the auction house, or maybe if it's cheaper for you, to gather materials and just make them again. Because of the giant stat squish from the items that you create through professions, and the ease of access of items by doing group content, or content in the wilderness, items will come back to you as long as you spend the time grinding to get them. This means people who actively spend the most time in the game will have the more powerful items, despite the fact that you can just buy a lot of the items on the auction house. People who play the game more often and have a bunch of money will be able to have more powerful items quickly, regardless of being able to make them or not. So this also means that your gatherer professions are just as important than your manufacturing ones, and that professions will be something every player seeks, and not just something you never level. So now dungeons, do them to get item level. I haven't decided if it was going to be 18 yet, but they're probably going to be 20. And from there, raid gear, probably be like, I don't know, item level 24. There's a bunch of PvP items that you can buy from vendors, but it requires you to possess a reputation with various PvP factions, and their items will cost you marks of honor, basically. So you still have to be able to buy them, and you still have to be able to have the amount of reputation in order to wear them. So PvP items are still items you can collect, but the way you go about collecting it is a bit different. However, they have a lot more stamina and fewer offensive stats, but it's a lot harder to die, and they extend fights for way longer. Additionally, resilience has been retuned, and I have not put any on any items yet, but if I do, they only reduce damage taken from players. They do not reduce critical strike chance or mana drain or affect any other abilities in a weird way. So you can build resilience as a stat in order to take less damage from players and be able to extend fights longer and create these engagements that actually make sense instead of just blowing people up with a few abilities. PvE items will actually unironically be that in the way that their offensive stats are stacked to the roof, but you become a glass cannon. And so you can also build a combination of both, or one or the other, whatever you think suits your playstyle. Besides those things, there's also mini games you can just play in between whatever you're trying to do in each faction's starting area. You have a King of the Hill event, you have a Dalaran Crater Battle Royale, you have a zombie death match you can team up and play with and try to survive, and a race event that you can play over various raceways, and a 1v1 arena to test your dueling prowess. So, there you have it. Those are some of the features that I have in my vision for Vile Branch. If you like what you see, please hit me up on Discord. I'm constantly in there, so it's easy to get access to me. Please like, comment, subscribe, and if you want to participate, feel free to come into my Discord and hang out until it's released, or maybe even partake in alpha tests as they come out and occur. Also, logging. You can cut down trees. It's a trade skill I have. This is anticipation for another skill called woodworking, so that you can create gun stocks, pages, and unadorned staffs for scribes to use. Specific types of wood needs to be made a certain way so that enchanters can use them to make their wands. There's a whole lot of other stuff that I have planned for that one. Fletching arrow shafts and unstrung bows, that type of stuff. So definitely stay tuned to those features. The custom classes, like the one I'm playing right now, Tinkerer, they won't be accessible for probably a year, maybe less. I hope less after release because I have a primary focus on the main classes and item balancing. But I do intend on adding a couple of these custom classes, but not in a way where it makes the game unrecognizable. Because one of the things I have in my vision is that I don't want the server to be so run over with custom content that it doesn't look recognizable from World of Warcraft. Guys, we're here to play WoW. What can I say? It's not WoW if there's 10 custom classes on top of the 10 existing ones. Then it's just this weird custom Zergfest. It's probably less balanced. You know, I want to add classes that feel organic to the Warcraft universe, not just have them for the sake of having them. If those ideals line up with what you guys like or want to see, come on in. That's all I can say about that. Alright. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, join the Discord, hit me up if you want to join the team. If not, feel free to hang out in the waiting room and read the updates. Until then, see you guys later. See you later, see ya. See you later, see ya. Bye-bye. Bye now.